As Xiao Yin and Mu Yingying stepped into the purple bamboo grove, an overwhelming pressure instantly suppressed much of their power. Accompanying this strange suppression was a piercing sound that echoed from all directions, originating from the depths of the grove. "Damn it!" Xiao Yin muttered coldly. In the next moment, a brilliant wave of soul energy surged from his body, enveloping both of them in a protective barrier. With this shield in place, the harsh sound was gradually blocked out. What could it be? Mu Yingying scanned the area cautiously, but saw nothing out of the ordinary, so she asked, "If my guess is right, it's probably Hatred Old Monster, one of the three eccentrics." Xiao Yin responded without hesitation. "An 8-star Do-D level expert." Then, Mu Yingying said softly, sensing the residual energy around them thanks to her sacred flame. She didn't press further, keeping her voice low. The two quickly fell silent as they moved deeper into the purple bamboo grove. As far as the eye could see, the forest was filled with towering purple bamboo, some thick, some slender, all arranged in perfect rows, creating a striking visual effect. However, what stood out even more was the presence of tiny herbs growing beneath each bamboo stalk. Though ordinary people might not notice, Xiao Yan's keen senses as an alchemist picked up on them instantly. The aura here is definitely Hatred Old Monsters, but these herbs, they're clearly ingredients needed for magical beasts to transform into human form. What on earth is he up to? And the herbal scent in this grove is far too strong. It would be nearly impossible not to notice. Could he be using the purple bamboo grove to cultivate these herbs? What is this guy planning? Xiao Yin muttered to himself, feeling increasingly perplexed by the discovery. "This bamboo grove is probably a formation," he said after a pause. Although Xiao Yin had placed a soul imprint on Long Fuyao, since entering the purple bamboo grove, he could only faintly sense that she was still somewhere within the grove, but her exact location remained a mystery. Mu Yingying, upon hearing this, didn't disturb Xiao Yan's concentration. She kept a vigilant eye on their surroundings, her guard up. "Heh. I thought the secrets you two little brats carried would make you tough to deal with. But to think you'd fall right into my trap. Well then, after I've finished my business, I'll have some fun with you too." A sinister voice chuckled from deep within the grove as Xiao Yin was focusing on unraveling the formation's mysteries. At the same time, several bamboo stalks in the purple bamboo grove subtly began to shift positions. Xiao Yin, too occupied with deciphering the formation, didn't catch the old man's voice, though he could sense that this grove was brimming with danger. However, he merely smiled faintly. "Your soul power is quite impressive. Let's see if you can pull this off," Xiao Yin said to himself. Before long, a figure emerged from the depths of the grove. It was Hatred Old Monster, and in his hand, he casually held the unconscious Long Fuyao. Although Long Fuyao was unconscious, she seemed unharmed. As Hatred Old Monster's true form came into view, his appearance was startling. He had the physique of a human, slender and upright. If one only saw him from behind, he could easily be mistaken for a handsome young man. But as soon as one caught a glimpse of his face, it was terrifying, a shock that sent chills down the spine. On his right cheek, he appeared perfectly normal, like any other man. But the left side of his face was pitch black, twisted, and eerie. It was as if the entire left half of his face, eyes, nose, and mouth, had been erased, leaving a blank, shadowy void. "What a strange aura this woman has," Hatred Old Monster murmured, staring intently at Long Fuyao as he prepared to do something sinister to her. "What's this?" His eyes narrowed when he discovered a faint trace of white energy emanating from Long Fuyao's body. The moment he sensed it, his expression turned rigid. "Well, isn't this interesting?" he muttered. Just a few breaths later, Xiao Yin and Mu Yingying's figures appeared before him in a flash of silvery light. "How did you manage to get here?" Hatred Old Monster was genuinely shocked. He hadn't expected Xiao Yin to figure out how to reach the depths of the purple bamboo grove so easily, a place where even he could become lost without a guide. "This is all thanks to the thing you're holding," Xiao Yin said with a slight smile. Clearly, by using the trace of a soul imprint he had left on Long Fuyao and activating the spatial teleportation array, he had instantly arrived here. Otherwise, Given the complexity of the formation in the purple bamboo grove, it would have been nearly impossible for Xiao Yin and his group to escape so quickly. You brat. So what if you've come here? This is my territory, and by coming here, you're just marching to your death. Take this. Hatred Old Monster shouted as he placed Long Fuyao aside and launched an attack toward Xiao Yin. Heh, don't be so hasty. I believe you'll be interested in meeting a second-rank Imperial class alchemist. Am I right, Hatred Old Monster? Xiao Yin calmly said, not dodging the attack. Xiao Yin knew that the strength of Hatred Old Monster was likely comparable to that of an early 8-star Do D, and if they fought here, his chances of victory were slim. However, after entering the purple bamboo grove, Xiao Yin noticed that its structure bore the signs of an array. Beneath each purple bamboo stalk, a particular medicinal herb was planted, one that Xiao Yin was quite familiar with. This realization gave him the confidence to act boldly. Second-rank Imperial class alchemist? Where? Upon hearing this, Hatred Old Monster was momentarily stunned. His terrifying attack dissipated instantly, and he anxiously scanned the surroundings. Right in front of you, Xiao Yin said with a smile, seeing that his guess had worked. You're not talking about yourself, are you? Hatred Old Monster's voice turned strange as he began using a peculiar force to probe Xiao Yin. Wait, seeing this, Mu Yingying was about to summon the sacred flame to resist the probe, but Xiao Yin stopped her with a gesture and shook his head with a smile. This soul force, you truly are a second-rank Imperial class alchemist. Hatred Old Monster finally said, his single eye flickering with an intense, terrifying energy. I've waited far too long for this day. The next moment, Hatred Old Monster's voice boomed throughout the purple bamboo grove, shaking the entire area violently. So, Hatred Old Monster, why have you been cultivating so many shaping herbs? Xiao Yin asked, noticing the intense shift in the old monster's emotions. He had already begun to piece together some clues. Heh, since you have such great strength, I suppose you're worthy of knowing, Hatred Old Monster replied. And I'm not afraid to tell you. I am one of the 3 old monsters guarding Moonlight Island. I am Hatred Old Monster, he said proudly. Xiao Yin and Mu Yingying exchanged glances, both feeling a bit exasperated. They had already guessed as much. The herbs in this purple bamboo grove are for refining shaping pills, aren't they? With this many, you could probably refine dozens of them, Xiao Yin observed aloud, watching as Hatred Old Monster pondered. As expected of an alchemist, Hatred Old Monster replied. I knew you weren't simple from the start, but since you're so secretive, I had no choice but to capture your companion in order to refine the shaping pills. Xiao Yin smiled and responded, based on what I've sensed, Senior, you're not a magical beast. Refining shaping pills would be useless for you. Of course, though we 3 on Moonlight Island are known as hatred, resentment, and malice, those are merely titles. In truth, we are all human, Hatred Old Monster explained. Even though my appearance is less than dignified, I am, without a doubt, human. If you're human, Senior, why stay on Moonlight Island? Xiao Yin asked, curious and full of questions. If you help me deal with my greatest concern, I'll tell you everything. Otherwise, you, your companion, and anyone who comes here will perish, Hatred Old Monster said coldly, clearly not willing to reveal too much without assurance. What concern is that, Senior? Xiao Yin asked, alarmed but maintaining his composure. While Hatred Old Monster's attitude had softened slightly, Xiao Yin knew that the old monster's strength, comparable to an early 8-star Do D, was not to be trifled with, so it was best to avoid direct conflict. It's simple. Just refine the shaping pills for me, and I'll handle the rest, Hatred Old Monster said, wary of revealing too much. Heh, Senior, that's not quite right. As they say, a healer must have the heart of a parent. While alchemists are not quite healers, refining pills is a form of medical practice. One must treat the root cause, or the medicine will never cure the ailment, Xiao Yin replied, smiling slyly, knowing exactly what Hatred Old Monster meant. Fine, I'll tell you, Hatred Old Monster said, realizing the point. After all, the person in front of him was a second-rank Imperial alchemist. Even if he shared the secret and things went wrong, it wouldn't matter. He could always kill him like he had done countless times before. Do you know whose relic this is? Hatred Old Monster's voice deepened as he continued. Xiao Fairy? Xiao Yin blurted out. Correct. This relic belongs to Xiao Fairy. But do you know what treasures lie within? Hatred Old Monster asked again. It's said there are rare herbs, elixirs, and perhaps even a battle soul, Xiao Yin replied thoughtfully, nodding as he spoke. Heh, a battle soul? Yes, there is such a thing. But let me tell you, neither you nor I would dare touch it. Hatred Old Monster shook his head slowly. What? Xiao Yin was stunned. Xiao Fairy's relic was known to bar even perfect 7-star Do Dis from entering. Any attempt to force entry would trigger immense resistance. Yet Hatred Old Monster was already an early 8-star Do D. If even someone of his strength couldn't handle the battle soul, then the rest of them stood no chance. Enough of that, Hatred Old Monster waved dismissively. My current strength is at mid 8-star Do D, but due to the restrictions of this relic, I'm limited to the early 8-star level. When I first entered, I was trapped here. Thousands of years have passed, and now I'm nothing more than its guardian. But even so, I want to leave. And because of my unique cultivation method, I originally came here to capture a certain magical beast. I've been raising it ever since, but as its power grew stronger, it became harder for me to control. That's why the purple bamboo forest exists. You saw it earlier. The forest helps suppress the beast, but it also serves another purpose. I've been refining shaping pills to feed it. Once it consumes the pill and is weakened, I can safely take it with me. Luckily, the relic opened again, and I encountered an alchemist like you, Hatred Old Monster said in one breath. What kind of cultivation requires a magical beast? Xiao Yin murmured. But to have a magical beast under his control? This old monster is terrifying. Well, confident enough to help? Hatred Old Monster asked, offering a tempting deal. If you succeed, I'll give you access to the battle soul. Whether you can tame it is up to you. Why would he focus on a magical beast instead of the battle soul? Xiao Yin wondered. The battle soul must be far more difficult to deal with. Because of his cultivation technique? Who's he trying to fool? Xiao Yin smiled outwardly but was thinking rapidly. He hadn't made it this far without sharp instincts. What kind of magical beast is it? Xiao Yin asked with a hint of curiosity. It's nothing too extraordinary, Hatred Old Monster replied casually. Just an emperor leopard at the peak 8th rank imperial class. What? Xiao Yin's jaw dropped. A peak 8th rank emperor leopard, he repeated in shock. That's as strong as a perfect 8-star Do D. For someone like me, a perfect 6-star Do D, going against that is pure suicide. Senior, you're overestimating me. My strength is far too weak to help you. I'm afraid we won't be of much use, Xiao Yin quickly declined, pulling Mu Yingying along. Intending to leave the purple bamboo forest, his eyes filled with fear. Mu Yingying was startled, having never seen Xiao Yin so afraid before. But though Xiao Yin's face showed fear, he was secretly overjoyed. Inside, he thought, you think I'll work for free? Not without a big payout. Hold on, boy. Hatred Old Monster grumbled. I'm not asking you to fight the Emperor Leopard. Why so scared? Senior, even getting close to a perfect 8-star magical beast would be deadly for us. I'm afraid we simply can't help you, Xiao Yin responded, preparing to leave again. All right. You alchemists are all the same, playing your little tricks, Hatred Old Monster sighed. I just need you to suppress the Emperor Leopard for 1 minute. In return, I'll tell you everything I know about this relic. And I'll also address the fact that, though you've reached perfect 6-star Do D, you still haven't developed the power of life within your body. Hearing this, Xiao Yin paused. He turned back toward Hatred Old Monster, a brilliant smile spreading across his face. Deal, echoed Xiao Yan's voice, reverberating gently through the purple bamboo forest. With that, Hatred Old Monster's tone eased considerably. While Hatred Old Monster was fairly confident that Xiao Yin wouldn't refuse, hearing the confirmation still brought a smile to his face. Inside, Xiao Yin felt a whirl of conflicting emotions. Originally, he hadn't planned on running away. He simply aimed to extort a bit more from Hatred Old Monster. Who would have thought Hatred Old Monster would see right through his predicament so effortlessly? The core issue for Xiao Yin now was the power of life. Xiao Yan's current strength had reached the level of a perfect 6-star Do D. Normally, upon reaching the pinnacle of 5-star Do D, one undergoes the 6-star Do D life tribulation, and once overcome, the power of life manifests within the body. The power of life is far more formidable than Do Qi. One could frankly say that while Xiao Yan had cultivated Do Qi on the continent of Do Qi, upon arriving on the continent of Do Di, it gradually transformed into Imperial Qi. Xiao Yan hadn't paid much attention before. For all 6-star Do Di experts, Imperial Qi transforms into the power of life. The power of life is undoubtedly more formidable than either Do Qi or Imperial Qi. This issue has been troubling Xiao Yan significantly, and it was indeed surprising that Hatred Old Monster pinpointed it within this relic. Don't stare at me like that. If I speak of it, I naturally have enough confidence, Hatred Old Monster said, noticing Xiao Yan's astonished gaze. Your situation is extremely peculiar. If I hadn't gathered certain insights from places within these relics, I'd likely be at a loss now as well. But rest assured, I have a way to resolve it, Hatred Old Monster assured. However, what you wish to know will only be revealed once the matter is settled. He wisely held back, letting Xiao Yan recognize his credibility while also keeping some cards close to his chest. Let's go then. The sooner the better, Xiao Yan remarked, understanding that Hatred Old Monster was just as sly, and simply shrugged it off with a smile. Ying, stay here and escort Lung Fuyao back. I won't be long, Xiao Yan instructed before continuing. All right, Mu Ying replied, nodding slightly. She recognized the perils ahead and appreciated Xiao Yan's concerns to spare her from joining. Let's move. Hatred Old Monster waited patiently for Xiao Yan to handle his arrangements before he spoke again. As soon as he finished, the two of them vanished into the depths of the purple bamboo forest. Where did you suppress that magical beast? Xiao Yan kept pace alongside Hatred Old Monster, inquiring as they progressed. It's right here, hidden within the purple bamboo forest. The forest itself is a cover for the beast's existence. The other two old monsters think this is just my dwelling place, unaware it's my pen for magical beasts, Hatred Old Monster explained, a sly smile creeping in. Once he consumes this beast, his injuries would heal, and then, the thought of that excited Hatred Old Monster. After being trapped in this relic for thousands of years, the human world must have changed beyond recognition. You've got some nerve, Xiao Yan couldn't help but comment. Let's go. Before long, Hatred Old Monster had led Xiao Yan to the heart of the purple bamboo forest. This section differed subtly from the rest. Xiao Yan could discern its distinction at a glance. The other parts of the forest, although strange, didn't exhibit anything exceptionally unusual. Here, however, an intensely aggressive aura lingered. This is it, Hatred Old Monster affirmed. Wait a moment, it's risky to proceed without precautions. Could you add a layer of protection for me? Xiao Yan, unashamed, requested bluntly. You. Hatred Old Monster wished to smack Xiao Yan on the spot, but begrudgingly gritted his teeth and granted him a defensive barrier before stepping forward with slight reluctance. Be careful. Since you're with me, I'll skip bringing the medicinal herbs this time. My initial plan was to lure the Emperor Leopard into swallowing these herbs to weaken it, then capture it in its vulnerable state. Unfortunately, the beast was wickedly clever and foiled the plan multiple times, growing wary. But with you around, those items are unnecessary, Hatred Old Monster stated. Understood. Xiao Yan responded, knowing he had to showcase some strength, and wasted no time in doing so. Hatred Old Monster, seeing Xiao Yan ready, surveyed the area, ensuring the other two old monsters were absent before relaxing. Let's go, Hatred Old Monster said, just as a seemingly unbroken stretch of forest floor parted, revealing a path leading underground. Impressive. If this passageway were in the outside world, it wouldn't be a big deal, but constructing something like this inside ancient ruins must have cost a fortune in manpower and resources. Don't be surprised. The real shocker is still ahead, said the Hatred Old Monster, as he started walking without hesitation. As the Hatred Old Monster descended into the underground, Xiao Yan hesitated for a moment. He left traces of his soul energy around the purple bamboo forest, just in case Mu Yingying and the others needed to find him. Then, he quickly followed. Clack, clack, clack. The underground passage closed behind them as they entered, with the purple bamboo forest sealing itself shut again, blending seamlessly with the surroundings, making it nearly impossible to detect. What a grand undertaking! After walking for a short while, Xiao Yin and the hatred old monster arrived at a much more spacious area. What appeared before Xiao Yan's eyes was a massive underground cavern. Trees thrived, and jagged mountains loomed, resembling a miniature version of Moonlight Island. Heh. When I first encountered the Emperor Leopard here, I almost died under its claws. Luckily, I escaped. But let me tell you, this underground place didn't come cheap, chuckled the hatred old monster. Where is that Emperor Leopard now? Xiao Yin scanned the area but saw no trace of the beast the hatred old monster had mentioned. He spoke up curiously. The Emperor Leopard? It's right over there, the hatred old monster replied, grinning as he pointed toward a towering hill in the distance. Xiao Yin followed his gaze. The hill was quite imposing, covered in wild grass. The mountain peak was uneven and stood at several dozen zhang, tens of meters. However, the higher Xiao Yin looked, the more a creeping chill arose within him. Emperor Leopard? In the next moment, after Xiao Yin had scanned the entire hill, he let out a startled cry. At the same time, a terrifying aura, like that of a waking dragon, began to fill the space. Damned human, how dare you return? A booming voice filled with fury echoed from deep underground, accompanied by the sound of the earth cracking. Haha, Emperor Leopard. Why so angry? The hatred old monster's aura surged in response, matching the overwhelming pressure of the Emperor Leopard, whose power had reached the level of a perfect 8-star Do-D. Unfazed, the hatred old monster continued. Why don't we sit down and talk this out calmly? What a powerful presence, Xiao Yin thought to himself, deeply astonished. Even though the hatred old monster's defenses shielded him, the Emperor Leopard's aura was like an immense, terrifying ocean, making Xiao Yin shudder uncontrollably. Despite the protection, Xiao Yin couldn't help but cough violently, overwhelmed by the energy. The terrifying aura of a perfect 8-star Do-D was still too much for Xiao Yin, who had only reached the level of a perfect 6-star Do-D. Curse you, hatred old monster. If I break free from this restraint, I'll tear your heart out to avenge my rage. The Emperor Leopard roared again. In the next moment, Xiao Yin watched in astonishment as a massive figure appeared out of nowhere. The hill that the hatred old monster had pointed at suddenly trembled and stood upright, transforming into the Emperor Leopard. The Emperor Leopard had a long, slender body, its snow-white leopard spots radiating an indescribable aura of dread. On its forehead was a large white spot, which upon closer inspection revealed 8 distinct white stripes, symbolizing its power. The 8 stripes clearly indicated that this Emperor Leopard had reached the level of a perfect 8-star Do-D. If it had developed a 9th stripe, it would mean the Emperor Leopard had advanced to the rank of a 9-star Do-D. However, despite the Emperor Leopard's fury, it remained immobile, its massive body appearing to be restrained by some invisible force. What's going on with this beast? Xiao Yin muttered, sensing the Emperor Leopard's overwhelming power. As he turned his gaze to the creature's belly, he noticed that its powerful limbs were bound by something. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be silvery white chains of Do-Chi, or more accurately, chains of life force. What terrifying restraints, Xiao Yin murmured as he stared at the tangible silver-white life force chains. Even with his strength and composure, a sense of danger welled up within him. If he were bound by those silver-white life force chains, his fate wouldn't be much different from that of the Emperor Leopard. See that? Said the hatred old monster. That's the beast. All you need to do is buy me 1 minute. Leave the rest to me. If you succeed, I'll tell you everything I know about this ruin, including the secrets of the battle soul and why you can't generate life force inside your body, he added. At that moment, a dazzling life force emanated from the hatred old monster's body. Even though he was a powerful early 8-star Do-D, it was clear he found the Emperor Leopard challenging. This creature's power is terrifying, Xiao Yin whispered. A magical beast at the level of a perfect 8-star Do-D was not something he dared to face head-on. Kid, this is the best offer I can give. If you keep hesitating, you'll have no one to blame but yourself. I can tell you're a smart person. But if you think you'll get anything from me without lifting a finger, I suggest you give up that idea right now. Hatred Old Monster snorted coldly, clearly displeased with Xiao Yin. I understand. I'll do my best. Xiao Yin, unfazed by Hatred Old Monster's harsh words, didn't bother to argue with him. Besides, Hatred Old Monster continued, I might as well tell you, the binding force under the Emperor Leopard's feet is my doing. It took a lot of effort to set that trap back then. And there's more. The Emperor Leopard's defenses against soul power are practically non-existent. So, seeing Xiao Yin agree to cooperate, Hatred Old Monster offered some sincerity in return. Is that true? Xiao Yin was startled. If the Emperor Leopard had no defense against soul power, things would go much smoother. Absolutely. Hatred Old Monster snorted again in confirmation. Humph. Hatred Old Monster, it's been thousands of years, and you still haven't beaten me. And now you show up with a mere perfect 6-star Do-D human, thinking you can get lucky again? The Emperor Leopard's eyes blazed with murderous intent as he glared at Hatred Old Monster, as if itching to tear him to shreds. As for Xiao Yin, the Emperor Leopard dismissed him outright. After all, a perfect 6-star Do-D wasn't even worth the effort to kill. Looks like I've been underestimated, Xiao Yin shrugged, sensing the Emperor Leopard's complete disregard for him, but he saw an advantage in that. Taking a breath, he carefully masked his soul power, weaving it unnoticed around the Emperor Leopard. It gathered slowly, its intensity far surpassing that of the terrifying netherworld heavenly wrath. You're asking for it. Hatred Old Monster suddenly realized Xiao Yin was mobilizing his soul power. Without hesitation, he launched an attack to cover for Xiao Yin. Old fool. The Emperor Leopard sneered. 8 snow-white leopard stripes burst into view on its forehead, and with a terrifying roar, it charged straight at Hatred Old Monster. Boom, boom, boom. The violent clash between two high-level fighters, both with the strength of 8-star Do-D, sent shockwaves through the air. Although the exchange seemed evenly matched, Hatred Old Monster knew that the Emperor Leopard was growing stronger with each fight. If things continued this way, he might not be able to hold his ground much longer. These two. Hatred Old Monster's binding force is water-based life energy, and from the looks of it, it's at the 7th rank. As for the Emperor Leopard, its power clearly stems from ice energy. Water and ice. This is going to get interesting. Xiao Yin kept channeling his soul power as he observed their battle unfold. It was common knowledge that when a Do-D reached the 6-star level, their imperial chi would generate life energy. By the time they advanced to 7-star Do-D, that life energy would take on a specific elemental attribute. What powers awaited at the 8-star level? Xiao Yin was curious. Heh. The Emperor Leopard sneered again, mocking Hatred Old Monster. After all these years, your strength has only diminished. Seems fate is on my side this time. The leopard's grin twisted with malice. You've come all this way, don't bother leaving. With that, the 8 stripes on its forehead glowed fiercely, illuminating the battlefield. In that blinding flash, Hatred Old Monster's expression darkened. He glanced down at the bindings beneath the Emperor Leopard's feet, only to hear the unmistakable sound of ice cracking. This is bad. A heavy weight pressed on Hatred Old Monster's heart. It had cost him dearly to bind the Emperor Leopard, and even then, he wasn't certain he could defeat it outright. If those bindings were shattered, he'd have no way of stopping it. We can't let it break free. Xiao Yan's voice cut through the tension, urgency laced in every word. He knew that if the Emperor Leopard escaped, death was inevitable for both of them. There was no surviving a battle with a perfect 8-star Do-D. Now, Hatred Old Monster barked, realizing the gravity of the situation. He roared at Xiao Yin, his figure blurring into motion. Ha ha ha. The Emperor Leopard's laughter rang out, dripping with cruelty. Too late, Hatred Old Monster. Your life energy binding may be tricky, but it only had 4 layers, and 2 have already been broken. Your end is near. Ignoring Hatred Old Monster's desperate attacks, the Emperor Leopard stood firm. Even though Hatred Old Monster's speed was incredible, he still couldn't get there in time. Just as he reached the Emperor Leopard's feet, ready to reinforce the bindings. Crack, crack, crack. The sound of shattering ice filled the air. The life energy bindings that had been holding down the Emperor Leopard's front paws crumbled into nothingness. Damn it! Hatred Old Monster cursed under his breath. He had been too careless, failing to notice the Emperor Leopard's hidden power. The Emperor Leopard's strength was already terrifying to begin with, and magical beasts have natural advantages over humans in certain aspects. Even though Hatred Old Monster shared the same level of power as the perfect 8-star Do-D, he still didn't have the absolute confidence to defeat the Emperor Leopard. Now, with his own strength reduced to the early 8-star Do-D, facing such a powerful beast was an even more daunting task. Boom, boom, boom. As Hatred Old Monster stood pondering at the feet of the Emperor Leopard, the beast let out a roar. Its massive front paw, tens of meters wide, suddenly lifted and stomped down ferociously toward him. The sheer force of the strike was devastating. If it landed on Hatred Old Monster, he would be crushed in an instant. Swoosh! The Emperor Leopard's massive paw missed its target, landing on empty ground. The beast seemed momentarily puzzled and raised its foot again, ready to stomp once more. However, it then noticed a strange silver glow beneath its feet, and the figure of Hatred Old Monster vanished. Teleportation. Xiao, always one to keep his word, acted just in time. Seeing Hatred Old Monster fail to block the Emperor Leopard and still lost in thought, Xiao activated the brilliant silver light around him, the power of a spatial teleportation array. Are you all right? Xiao asked as soon as Hatred Old Monster reappeared by his side, safely teleported away. I'm fine, Hatred Old Monster replied, but this Emperor Leopard is proving more troublesome than I expected. In the past, its limbs were bound, greatly reducing its threat. But now, 2 of its limbs have been freed. Even I. Hatred Old Monster's eyes flashed with disappointment, realizing that despite all his calculations, he hadn't anticipated this development. Leave it to me, Xiao said with a slight smile. After all, everyone knows the saying. If you take someone's money, you help solve their problems. Now that they were in this situation, Xiao knew he had to show some of his abilities. Do you think this will work? Hatred Old Monster asked nervously after hearing Xiao plan. While it was feasible, if it failed, they might end up as the Emperor Leopard's next meal. Xiao method was extremely dangerous, but it wasn't without merit. As long as it hasn't reached the level of a 9-star Do-D, I can succeed. Even if I can't kill it in one blow, I can buy you a minute, Xiao explained briefly. Some things were his secrets, and he didn't intend to reveal too much. Ha 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 ha. Hatred Old Monster, do you think you can still fight me? The Emperor Leopard laughed wildly, its newly freed front paws exuding a savage, dangerous energy that filled the air. Don't get ahead of yourself, Hatred Old Monster retorted, vanishing from Xiao side in an instant. However, in his hands appeared a peculiar flame, an eerie, radiant fire that Xiao had passed on to him. What a strange flame! The Emperor Leopard gasped as it spotted the mysterious fire on Hatred Old Monster. Having fought him for many years, it knew his abilities well, so seeing this new fire puzzled the beast. Wandering Flame Hand. In no time, the Emperor Flame that Xiao had bestowed upon Hatred Old Monster turned into a dazzling fiery ring. It shot toward the Emperor Leopard, aiming directly for its newly freed front limbs. Humph! The Emperor Leopard snorted coldly as a surge of life energy burst from its body, disintegrating the fire ring in an instant. Ha! Die! The Emperor Leopard laughed, seeing the fire ring dissipate and noticing the flash of fear on Hatred Old Monster's face. But before the Emperor Leopard could make another move, a deep, resounding shockwave suddenly rang through its mind. Simultaneously, an overwhelming voice echoed. Netherworld Heavenly Wrath. Xiao pupils surged with terrifying power as he unleashed an invisible soul attack capable of erasing everything in its path. On! The emperor leopard cried out as Xiao Yan's sudden assault struck its mind. Its snow-white pupils tinged with blood, and its voice trembled with fear. "Break!" Xiao Yan yelled, sensing the soul attack was working. He poured more strength into his assault, attempting to subdue the emperor leopard with sheer force. "There's hope," Hatred Old Monster muttered to himself, watching Xiao Yan's terrifying soul attack. He was grateful he hadn't crossed Xiao Yan earlier. Such a formidable soul force would have been too much for him to handle. "Hatred Old Monster, now's your chance," Xiao Yan called out. The emperor leopard's eyes had glazed over, momentarily stunned by Xiao Yan's soul attack, but the strain was taking its toll on him as well. "I know," Hatred Old Monster exclaimed with delight, instantly revising his opinion of Xiao Yan. Although he had long been aware of the formidable soul power of alchemists, the sudden attack that left the emperor leopard in a stalemate still took him by surprise. "Leave the rest to me." Without any hesitation, the Hatred Old Monster's body surged with brilliant life energy. Under Xiao Yan's watchful gaze, he swiftly began to invade the emperor leopard's massive body. A low hum vibrated through the air. Despite being immobilized by Xiao Yan's overwhelming soul attack, the emperor leopard's massive form trembled violently under the terrifying erosion of the Hatred Old Monster's power. "Emperor leopard, die for me." Overjoyed at the opportunity, Hatred Old Monster opened his mouth wide, and with a fierce suction, began to absorb the emperor leopard into his being. Boom, boom, boom. It worked. Seeing Hatred Old Monster continuing his assault on the emperor leopard, Xiao Yan relaxed slightly. Amidst the hidden underground chamber beneath the purple bamboo forest, the dazzling life force surrounding Hatred Old Monster grew stronger. A ravenous aura emerged, as though he intended to completely devour the now stunned emperor leopard. "Bastard! How can a mere perfect 6-star Do-D human possess such terrifying soul power?" "Impossible!" the emperor leopard roared in fury, recovering slightly from the injury inflicted by Xiao Yan's soul power. "Emperor leopard, it's too late." Hatred Old Monster's voice was eerie and triumphant. "I've waited so many years for this moment, and now I'll finally have what I want. Die." His hands swiftly traced mysterious seals in the air. Xiao Yan could clearly sense the rapid shift in the surrounding energy as the strange marks formed in Hatred Old Monster's hands. "Devour!" With a low grunt, Hatred Old Monster unleashed a torrent of life energy, which surged towards the emperor leopard. Already severely wounded by Xiao Yan's soul power, the emperor leopard had no strength left to resist. Before long, the monster's white body showed signs of dissolving under the corrosive power of the Hatred Old Monster's strange techniques. "Aarg!" The emperor leopard's agonized screams echoed through the chamber. Yet Hatred Old Monster remained unmoved, his hands continuing to form seals. With each change, more of the emperor leopard's power flowed into him. "Now, we just have to wait." Xiao Yan, seeing that the emperor leopard's aura was fading rapidly, understood that his task was to wait for the Hatred Old Monster to finish the job. Still, something puzzled Xiao Yan. The emperor leopard was a magical beast, yet the Hatred Old Monster seemed determined to absorb it directly using some special method. Xiao Yan couldn't help but admire the boldness of such a move. It was a risky maneuver. If anything went wrong, the Hatred Old Monster could very well explode and die. As he observed further, Xiao Yan noticed that as the Hatred Old Monster absorbed the emperor leopard's power, his strength, at the early 8-star Do-D level, showed faint signs of breaking through. Even the disfigured half of his face seemed to be regenerating, a strange and intriguing sight. "Well, I'll wait and see for now," Xiao Yan muttered to himself. "Hatred Old Monster, if you go back on your word, don't blame me for what comes next." Though he kept his thoughts to himself, Xiao Yan maintained his vigilance, ready to act if necessary. The Hatred Old Monster seemed to sense Xiao Yan's gaze and grew slightly cautious, but at this moment, he was too absorbed in the absorption process to confront him. Outside the purple bamboo forest, Mu Yingying and her group appeared. Mu Yingying? Just moments after Xiao Yan and his group entered the bamboo forest, Mu Feng spotted Mu Yingying from the entrance. He even saw Long Fuyao, who appeared to be disoriented by a mysterious force, but there was no sign of Xiao Yin. Only the two of you? Yuru's face darkened, sensing something amiss. She immediately asked, "Where is Xiao Yin?" "Sorry, I'm under no obligation to tell you that," Mu Yingying replied with an air of pride. Possessing the sacred flame gave her a certain sense of superiority. Why would she bow to anyone? Moreover, Mu Yingying had sensed that Yuru harbored some hostility towards her, although she had no idea where this animosity came from. Yuru, frustrated by the response, was about to speak up again. "Stop," Xiao intervened. He understood his junior sister's behavior all too well. Ever since she met Xiao Yin, it was as if she had lost her soul. Seeing Yuru's irritation, he decided to step in. "Xiao Yin is fine. He's working on some sort of agreement with the hatred old monster who lives within the bamboo forest. He asked us to step out first," Lung Fuyao, now fully conscious, explained as he saw the tension between Mu Yingying and Yuru. "The hatred old monster lives in the purple bamboo forest?" Based on the information from the inherited runes, it seems that the purple bamboo forest is merely the territory of the hatred old monster, but not where he resides. This made Yuru begin to doubt the authenticity of the rune's information. She mused. The hatred old monster does dwell within the purple bamboo forest. Just now, Xiao Yin and I entered and found the forest full of dangers, but thankfully, with Xiao Yan's help, we managed to escape unharmed, Mu Yingying explained, not wanting to bicker with Yuru. She saw the group's expectant gazes and spoke up immediately. "I wonder what kind of deal Xiao Yin struck with the hatred old monster?" Qin Xian asked, clearly intrigued. "We don't know," Lung Fuyao and Mu Yingying both shook their heads. "Let's wait for him to come out," Mu Yingying suggested after a moment of thought. "That works. The purple bamboo forest is far too dangerous anyway," Mu Feng agreed with a nod. "Be cautious. I can sense several powerful fighters have entered Moonlight Island, and there's only one path here. It won't be long before they catch up to us," Xiao warned, his voice tinged with concern as he stared down the path leading to Moonlight Island. Given that even Xiao, with his early 7-star Do D strength, felt pressured, the others, who hadn't yet reached the 7-star level, were understandably more worried. "They've made it in?" Mu Feng's face changed as he recalled the terrifying EngSubs 8 trigrams on the iron door. "Yes," Xiao confirmed. "While the iron door at the ruins entrance is formidable, it's clearly weakened by time and erosion. It won't hold them back for long. When we first boarded the sea demon beast to enter Moonlight Island, I already noticed something," Xiao continued. "Noticed what?" Yuru asked, immediately growing wary. "From a high vantage point, I saw a massive crowd gathering below. It seems they had already reached the sea area around the ruins at that time," Xiao said gravely. "So now, they've probably already entered Moonlight Island or Jade Rabbit Island," Xiao concluded, his tone serious. Although Xiao Yan's quick thinking gave their group a significant head start as the first to enter the ruins, other powerful fighters had steadily followed. "So, the competition inside the ruins is only going to get fiercer," Qin Xian remarked. "Exactly. Almost all the elite disciples from the major sects have come this time. This will likely be the real test for the younger generation across the entire Mystic Three Heavens," Xiao said, his expression growing more vigilant. "We'd better be careful," Qin Xian added.